And good morning, everybody. It is Fabulous Friday featuring Jenaya Rio'oja. Now, Jenaya, you are a fellow hypnotist. We have not properly met before, and I would like to get to know you better. So please tell us about you. Take it away. Just tell us about you, Jenaya.
Okay. So I am originally from Southern California.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the Navy when I was 18 and I was there for 5 years. And then I got out of the Navy and I was an administrative assistant for a while. I was a divorce mediator, public school teaching for around 11 years. And I've been doing hypnotherapy for over 5 years now, probably almost 6 years. And I got into hypnotherapy after watching an interview of a hypnotherapist and a psychotherapist
Mm-hmm.
in one video. And I had already seen some uh, hypnotherapist talk before, but I thought it was very interesting in this video. The hypnotherapist talked about how she made a major breakthrough for a veteran who didn't have use of one side of his body. And she was able to get him to get some movement, and it was pretty spontaneous and unexpected. But she just kind of went with her intuition and used a method of imagery, and it worked. And so I wanted to learn from her. So I signed up for her course,
Mm-hmm.
and that course included about 250 total hours of training. And then fast forward to about a year ago, I decided to go to HMI, the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. And so that was a year of training. Uh, and I learned a whole lot over that whole year. And so now I'm at around 1,000 hours of education. I can't get any more hours of education. And so now here I am.
Well, you're right. Yeah. However, I always believe that we can always keep learning more, and I'm sure that you
Absolutely.
because it's there's so much out there. There's so many of our wonderful colleagues to learn from, and so have you been to any of the conferences, Janea?
I haven't. Honestly, I didn't know about them until a few months ago when I was talking to one of the instructors at HMI, Shelby Brown, and she told me about Hypno Thoughts, and she was like, "You need to be there next year." And so I said, "Okay, I'll do that." So I went and found the Facebook group, and I think that's where you and I ended up in the same space. Yeah.
Yeah. So I expect I befriended you because when people are new and they're making comments, then that's the sort of thing I'll do to just go. And then you did. You reached out and you said hello. and
Yeah.
then we found out we live in the same area, so that's wonderful.
Yep.
So
North
that
Carolina.
yeah, that does not happen often. So and then we had a whole conversation and it'll be and I'm still sort of like interested about that, about the whole because I'm a certified consulting hypnotherapist, sorry,
Mhm.
clinical hypnotherapist, but I don't call myself that here in the state of North Carolina. I expect I mentioned that
Yeah.
got to be with the National Guild of Hypnotists. It was like the state thing, so
Mhm.
be careful. So yeah, I it's the rules are very interesting, and it's what it is. Different states, different countries. Because I had no
Yeah.
idea, no idea.
We
So
did have a legal class at HMI. So I'm aware of how states like to bully hypnotherapists. So if they come at me, I'll be ready.
okay, so watch this space. There you go. I'll be good for you. So who do you like working with the best? Is there a sort of like little area of people that you like to work with best?
Um, so I have a special place in my heart for people who have been dealing with trauma and identity, boundaries. Yeah, people who say things like, I don't really know who I am, or They are dealing with damaging experiences in their lives, and it has had like a catastrophic effect on their self-worth. Um, Clients like that. I'll work with almost anyone. I'm certified in a lot of things, but those are the clients that I like.
Yeah, it's always fascinating, isn't it? People with those past things, significant emotional events, feelings that can actually damage their internal belief system. And yeah, it's quite fascinating. I just had a client this morning, and it's like just explaining that they've hypnotized themselves with this whole belief system that they are a failure, they are unworthy, they are not good enough. And it's like they go, oh yeah.
That's interesting that you say that, because the cycle of abuse in domestic violence situations, there's
Mhm.
like this, uh, I learned in a training that I did when I was trying to volunteer at a women's shelter. And they have the tension building phase, the explosion phase, and then the honeymoon phase. And I found it interesting how much that can mirror the induction phase, the suggestions phase, and then the bringing the client out of hypnosis phase. And so you're right, it is hypnosis, because in the tension building, your emotions are being used to get you into a particular mindset.
Mhm.
Then with the explosion, whatever that abusive energy is that comes at you, all of that abusive energy is telling you you're not worth being treated better than this. This is what you deserve, all of that stuff, by whether it's emotional or physical abuse. And then you bring the client out of that hypnosis with the honeymoon phase. Oh, I love you. I'll never do it again. You know, oh, all that. And it's a loop. And it's this constant loop that they are being hypnotized and solidified over years. And so my mother was abused in front of me as a child. And so when I grew up, I never could understand, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just leave? And then I realized they're hypnotized. That's why they don't leave. They are effectively hypnotized by someone that they are completely suggestible to over the course of sometimes several years. And it's hard for them to leave. And not only is it hard for them to leave, but within the first few days of leaving, and for some people longer, it's life threatening for them to just up and leave a situation like that. So,
I completely agree. And are you able to help here with any of the foundations for women who are abused? Because I know there are a few
what do you mean, like advice or?
shelters. Well, no, not necessarily advice, but I mean,
Mm.
you did that before, didn't? I think you mentioned that right at the beginning, that you worked in some women's shelters.
Oh, I did. Okay, so I have to admit something. I went to do the training. I did the training.
Hmm.
And the training was like 4 weekends in a row for a month. And I actually didn't follow through with it because of my own background. It was too triggering for me. I thought that I could go in because I had the experience as a child with my mother and
Okay.
really most of the women in my family, but I could tell that it was affecting me in a way that I wasn't going to be useful. And that was well before I had done any hypnotherapy training. So at that time, I was like, I'm going to be useless to these women because I'm just going to be sad the whole time. So I learned a lot, but I decided not to follow through with it.
Okay. And yeah, it can be really hard to you know to mention that, because you're right, and this is why the people will go so far into a training and then they go, oh, hang on, who am I doing this training for? Oh,
Hmm.
it's me. And
Yeah.
it is quite eye-opening, because and then I mean, I'm not sure what, while you were doing the training, I'm hoping you were able to get that that those feelings dealt with by other colleagues.
Well, I have over the years with I think my hypnotherapy training is what really helped me the most. Um, it really helped a lot to understand the mechanisms. For me, I am one of those people who I need to know how things work in order to feel better. So
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
so the more I learned about hypnosis and hypnotherapy and the mind and suggestibility and all of those things, I was able to get rid of the issues that I needed to get rid of, which was, why didn't you save yourself? Why didn't you save your And so then when I realized, oh my God, she couldn't save herself. Like she couldn't. And so then I was like, okay, okay. And then I could kind of woo-saw, let it go.
Yeah, yeah. I do know a friend. I know she runs a non-profit for ladies like this, and I'm hoping I will be able to do. I think I just mentioned right at the beginning, I've started doing comedy stage hypnosis.
Yep.
So I'm doing charity shows. So for for non-profits, and
Mhm.
it's a way for them to get funds in, but everybody can have that bit of laughter because I personally believe that there is nothing like a good old belly laugh
Yeah.
to clear those horrible feelings that we can hold on to. And even for that moment, that hour and a half, it's just like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
forget everything that is perhaps weighing so heavy on your shoulders, and to laugh, remember
Yeah.
how to laugh. So yeah, so I'm hoping I will do one. When I do, I'll be sure to let you know,
Yeah.
because we're in the same area. Just because you it may, because it's like a great niche area, because those ladies
Mhm.
do need help. And I must admit, that was not my story,
Mhm.
that kind of background. So it was not
Yeah.
my model of the world. Um, can I help? Yes, but it's not my model of the world.
Mhm.
If and however, it as you've mentioned, it is yours, and
Mhm.
I think it's this, when those ladies are in that and they're talking about it, it's a safer place for them to be if somebody else really
Mhm.
understands what
Yeah.
it's like.
I think it's if I had to say anything about a woman who is in that cycle, um, from the perspective of someone who wants to help her, I think the most important thing to understand is it's not useful to tell her, leave, leave. The focus cannot always be on telling her to leave, because she's so emotionally and mentally tied to that person that it's like telling her to leave someone who she is almost physically connected to. Like, um and then you're going to immediately put yourself in the place of every other person who is judging her and telling her to leave. I would liken it to almost like an umbilical cord. Like, a woman, especially if she's been with that person for a long time. And I won't just say husband, because there is a huge occurrence of domestic violence in the LGBTQ community as well. And so when you are tied to a person like that, it almost feels, as I'm looking at my mother, she's passed away now, but as I have looked at her experience, I think it was almost as if she had like a physical connection to him, like an umbilical cord. Even years after they were no longer together, she would still smile when she heard his voice, when she heard his name.
Yeah.
And this was well past. And so I would say, in the same way that you're not going to rip somebody's arm off or rip somebody's leg off, you can't just come at her from, okay, let's get you to leave this person. What it really needs to be, I would say, if you're really trying to help her, the best thing for a woman or a man who is being abused like that by an emotional partner is to give them power. They need self efficacy. They need to feel like they are capable, because if they have reached out to you for help, that means they know they need help. And so if they know they need help, then empower them further so that they can continue on whatever little voice in their head is telling them to make a change. So they need to be empowered. They need to be convinced that they are intelligent and capable. They need to be convinced that they deserve whatever it is that they want, including respect. But you also have to be careful with that respect as well, because anything that endangers that connection that they have to the abuser, you can't really touch it. Like, you have to go in from empowerment and then let her and or him. And only when your client actually begins to talk about it can you begin to talk about it. So if I'm coming to you and I'm being abused and you know that, um, unless I bring it up in the conversation, don't begin to give your opinions on it. And then if you want to bring it up, ask me, is it okay if I talk about your relationship now? Is it okay if I say something about that? And then let that person, oh, okay, so I'm in charge. I get to say, okay, great. Because when they're being abused, they're not in charge and no one's respecting their boundaries. So, like, you have to begin teaching them about boundaries by respecting the boundaries that they're supposed to have. And then that's when they can begin to be like, oh, I do deserve respect. I can be respected. So if my therapist is treating me this way, I like this. This is how I should be treated by everybody. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And it's interesting because actually there'll be different layers of that, because there's different types of abuse, as we know.
mhm,
And there are sometimes there's the because you had it from when you were a young girl, you saw that happen with your mother.
mhm.
So out of interest, and actually you don't need to tell me because sorry, I'm just ending up going
No,
in.
ask away. It's okay.
Well, it's because what can happen to other people
Mhm,
is that it's that then becomes that's what they do. They go into that
mhm.
same kind of relationship
Yeah.
mode because that's what because it's monkey see, monkey do. We watch, we we're
Mhm,
children, we learn from our parents, and so that's what it is. And it's interesting because it is. I mean, I literally just forgotten. Actually, my first marriage was not very happy. It wasn't
mhm,
violent, but it was not right. And I did sort of like at the end have a choice. I did realize I had a
mhm,
choice. And so funny enough, I was because I did 3 years of counseling training before I went into hypnosis, into hypnotherapy training. And it's so it's quite interesting, Jenaya. I'd even forgotten about that because it's like another
It can
lifetime.
happen to everybody. It can happen to anyone. You can slide into an abusive situation and not even realize it.
Mm.
And then, especially people who see themselves as very capable, very intelligent, those people will stay in abuse longer because they're too ashamed to admit that they let it happen to them. Um,
And for
but
men.
it's yeah,
Mhm,
especially men,
mhm.
because God forbid they say my wife or my girlfriend is hitting me and hurting me and all of those things, like, and then the emotional abuse, because that's, I mean, I I don't wanna label women, I'm a woman, but I will say that if we had a way to abuse people, it would be emotionally, and men are not encouraged by society to say, "I'm hurting." It's just not something that they're encouraged to do.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Well, this could be a very meaty, long conversation, Janea. So,
Mhm.
and that's why I do love speaking to my fellow hypnotists because it's like because we all well, first of all, we pretty much agree with each other,
Yeah,
which is always nice. We always, and we always come at things from a different angle, and so
we have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always so much more to learn, and we all work in different ways. And so, Jenaya, if somebody wanted to work with you on this, because it sounds like it's, you know, you really do understand this at a deep level, how can they find you? What's your well, I'll get it in the show notes, your website for everybody.
Yeah, it's right there underneath my name as well.
Oh, so it is.
Mhm.
I've got my glasses on. So, okay. Anyway, thank you for coming on. It's been lovely to meet you on here. Thank you for watching, everybody. And it's goodbye from me, Claudia Rickard, and it's goodbye from
Jenaya C Rio'oja.
So take care, everybody. Thanks for